Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. So I'm going to be coloring out of Anamorphia. I have chose a page for Foxy February 2022, which is one of my uh, color longs this month. And so if you saw some of my demo videos last month where I demoed some of my Inktense products I thought those went really well. So I think I'm just going to continue this as a series of just demos. Most of them are here. I'm actually using gelatos. These are Faber-Castell gelatos. There's Silver Ice and Lunar, which is like an iridescent white. And my plan for this was I wanted to do a white fox, but I wanted to do like a white wintry kind of fox instead of the typical reddish brown that I do. And with the winter theme, I wanted to use definitely wanted to use some color on the fox, but I wasn't sure what to go with. At first, I was thinking like doing a rainbow, but then I settled on just a simple kind of limited palette with just some blues. So a light, a medium, and a dark blue for everything that's not the fox head, like the rest of the body. I also come in with the silver ice and just kind of go over the areas that are shaded in by Kirby Rosanna's, just to give it a little bit of some definition, since really and truly I'm leaving this portion of the page white. I do add the Lunar gelato over it to give it a little bit of a shine from the iridescent uh, pigment in it. It doesn't shine as much as I would have liked, but I really didn't want to, like, Stickles was too much. Probably really needed a couple layers of the iridescence to get the shine I wanted, but I marked it as good enough. So here I'm just putting them directly on the paper and just smudging the silver ice over any of the fur that is shaded in on this picture. So yeah, probably Tuesdays are going to be my demo days, as I've stated a lot. Um, I don't feel like I can call them tutorials because I don't feel like I'm confident enough in a lot of the supplies I use to, be like, hey, here's a tutorial on how to use this. For the most part, I'm just playing around with stuff and learning it along with you. So demo seems a more appropriate name for this series, and I think that's really what we're going to be doing a lot on Tuesdays. I don't know why it's shaking so much. That's weird. Um, oh, I bet I know why. I bet Leroy is up on the desk. When we have really cold days and he can't go outside, or he doesn't want to be outside, he'll sulk for a while next to my desk, and then he'll want to get up on the desk and just kind of glare out the window. That was probably him stomping around on the desk, is my guess. So here I am coming in and activating this with a water brush. I don't do much more to the fox head in this picture. Well, at some point I'm going to be coming in and activating it with a water brush. No. I'm going back over it with a Lunar. That was it. I was trying, again, to make it a little more shiny and iridescent. I know I struggle with leaving stuff white on pages as well, so I felt like this was a really good opportunity for me to play with that, and I was thrilled with the results. If you watched last year, I did a fox picture for Foxy February last year out of one of the other Kirby Rosanna's books, I believe, and it was like a galaxy fox. And I had used watercolor crayons to try to create like a spacey galaxy background, which really looked blobby. I did use gelatos as a base and then went over with pencil on the fox, and that turned out great. Actually, I still love the bright green I used for the fox head to this day. But Well, I'll talk about that more at the end. This time, I wanted to do a similar approach, but I wanted to improve on it, and I really think I did for this picture. Here I am actually going over some of the little fur pieces that are in the midst of all these random little bits and bobs. I'm going over with the iridescent as well. Like I said, once activated, it didn't work as well as I wanted, but I don't it didn't make anything any more difficult. So, actually, while I'm sitting here talking, I am curious. I think I agree. Yeah, it's really, unless you put this and like move it under light, it's really hard to catch the iridescence. I might have been better off with like the iridescent white color from Arteza, though it has more of a pink to it, and I probably wouldn't have liked that. Plus, it's a little more, I think it's a little more opaque, and I would have had trouble with the line art being covered up. So, um, the iridescence in the gelatos is very subtle, and I think I forgot that. I'd used it in a Maria Trolle book last year, and the background looked really cool with it. But it is definitely a subtle shine. So if you're kind of looking for that instead of a more bright, stickly, glittery look, then the iridescent gelatos might be your ticket. And as I said, this is the second time I've used gelatos in a Kirby Rosano's book, and they work great in these books. I highly recommend using them, particularly, I like using them as a base and then coming in with pencil over the top of them. And, or in this case, I just used them straight up, and I think they worked really well. So, if you're considering getting some gelatos and you like coloring in the Kirby Rosanna's books, I think you'll be pleased with the results that you get. So what we're going to do is, um, actually, I think I'm going to have different parts of this video that I speed up, and then basically just talking you through the different steps that I have. Like I said, Tuesdays I think are going to be like this. Most of them are probably going to be mixed media demos, at least for now, like recently, because that's been what I've really been drawn to, is just using different things in pictures. But in some cases, like with the ink tints, I may focus solely on using one particular supply for a picture. Um, so as you can see where I'm activating this, I probably used a little too much gray. But again, with the final results of the picture, it ended up being fine. So I think, yeah, with the other picture, I also put the gelatos directly on the paper. So, all right, let me speed this part up and throw in some music and haha. Okay, so I changed my mind. I actually just cut out the rest of the activating with water because it's really kind of hard to tell. The gray moves around a little bit. You can see some of the iridescence now, but this is what it looks like after all that's been activated. Now, I was going to use gelatos for the base of the fur, or for like the rest of his body. However, I couldn't find a combination of 3 blues that I liked in my gelatos. So I ended up pulling out my CRBRON Watercolors. Hopefully I pull them over at some point and show them to y'all. It's this little plastic palette with 48 pans in it. I got it last year. It was on a lightning deal or something, and I ended up getting it just because I wanted to try watercolors. And if you saw my color and chat Sunday, you'll have seen where I used it for the veil in the Beetlejuice picture. Now, I started off using the darkest blue, which is the Phthalo blue. I think that's right. It's my favorite color blue ever. In Arteza, it would be like the Mykonos blue, if you need another reference. And I was using my water brush, and then I was like, that's just too much water. So I grabbed just a legit watercolor brush here in a minute. That's probably what this pause is. because I just felt like I was putting too much water on the paper and I didn't like that as much. So here I am prepping that, and that worked out a lot better. So I picked the 3 blues I picked from the palette. If you happen to have that palette, are, well, I have them here. You silly, yes, silly goof. I have them on this other notes list. There we go. I used light blue, lake blue, and phthalo blue. Um, from light to dark. And here I start off with the darkest, which is the phthalo blue. And my goal was to create a base for pencils on the fox's body. So I basically just go by what Kirby Rosanna's has in terms of shading. I use the darkest blue in the darkest areas of the picture. Then I come back in with mid blue for, in looking at the picture, the stuff that is further back or more towards the middle is where I use the middle color. And then the lightest color is saved for all the objects and pieces that are most in the foreground, if that makes any sense. It's not a perfect science, and most of it was just trying to make sure I had a good mix of each color throughout the fox. So, but this color here, the phthalo blue, is I believe my favorite color. It's just deep, not like a true regular blue, but it's more, I don't know how to explain it. Not an ultramarine, but it's got maybe just a tiny bit more green to it. So it looks more like I said, if you've used the Mykonos blue in Arteza, you'll know which blue I'm talking about. And it is got to probably be my favorite color to use. So, and in going with the winter fox theme, I figured using blues would be a good choice. And I mean, this picture, I wouldn't call it monochromatic, but I mean, most of it kind of is. And I don't typically do that. As y'all know, typically I use, a lot of different types of bright colors. So this was something a little different for me, a little more understated, I guess. But I tell y'all, the results, I couldn't have been happier with it. So definitely want to try this method again, especially for these types of pictures with all the little objects and pieces to them. I feel like it can look chaotic, but if I stick to a monochromatic or limited color palette, it can kind of make it less busy and less overwhelming, if that makes any sense. Hopefully it does. So all right, so what I'm going to do, I think, is speed this up with some music and let you guys see. Right now you see me mostly dabbing in, like I said, the darkest color, but you'll see the other colors come through here in a minute. And I'm using, one of the things I noticed about the CRBRON watercolors, and I don't know if this is the case with all watercolors because I haven't used them enough to be able to tell. But these, I had a lot more success on this page because I actually made sure they were good and wet down. If I'm looking for really strong pigment and I'm pulling like directly off the pan and I'm not really adding a lot of water to it, these can leave a chalky feel to the paper when it dries. That happened with the veil on the Beetlejuice Hannah picture I did. So again, I don't know if that's just, I don't think that's typical of watercolors. So that's probably just a sign that these are more budgety watercolors. And so far they've worked well for me just playing with them. So but if you're looking for watercolors, what is her name? Oh my goodness. Why can't I think of it? The one to go to for sure. Ah, there we go. The Frugal Crafter, Lindsay Wyrich, I think is her name. I'm going to link it in the description. If you really want a good expert opinion on like budget-friendly watercolor, good budget-friendly watercolor choices, um, more expensive watercolor choices, and so on, she is the one to go to for sure. I'm sure there are budget watercolor sets out there that probably perform better than these do. These were just the ones I happened to get before I really got to watching her channel. But now the more expensive sets I have, like the Paul Rubin glitter ones and the Arteza metallics, don't do that. They don't have that chalky kind of texture to them when they dry on the paper. So again, I think it may just be this brand. It's probably not the best budget brand out there for like serious watercolor people, but for just playing around with it like I am, and for, you know, basing stuff with color, as long as I, even with the chalky kind of finish to it on the veil, I feel like I could have shaded it with pencil and it'd been fine. I don't know. I would have to test that thoroughly to know for sure. However, when you see this picture, the amount of water I used here didn't really leave that finish as much, and the pencil went over it just fine. So like, these are perfectly serviceable watercolors, I feel, for basing stuff if you're going to go over with pencil. The jury's still out on, and good enough if you just want like a little bit of solid color down. I haven't tested them enough on their own yet, which is my next plan. I'm going to, I think, in the Jungle Miniatures book, since that seems to be my kind of playing around with stuff book by Camellia Angelkova, I'm going to use some satin glazing liquid on the next page and pull out these watercolors and see if I can try just doing the picture in the watercolors and see how they do. With the satin glazing liquid, that should give me a better opportunity to blend. So still testing these out. However, again, I would say if you really are serious about wanting the best budget watercolor there is, or what you really want to know what the best ones are, I would highly suggest checking out Lindsay's YouTube channel, because she's really the go-to on those. And any watercolor purchases I make in the future that are just basic colors, I will probably be looking closer at what she has before I purchase anything else. But like I said, these were a lightning deal, so. But I think I'm actually just about done with the dark blue. And as I've said, repeated myself multiple times, this will probably be, like I said, what I do on Tuesdays will be, yes, I'll probably be talking some, but I'm going to try to make these shorter videos with speed pieces that are sped up to music and things like that. Basically just showing you guys what different things you can do in your coloring pages. And I'm not necessarily just a color and chat. It's talking about the techniques I'm doing and how I felt and what I learned and what I screwed up. You guys get to see it all with me. You get to see the good and the bad. So I think I'm pulling the mid color right now. We'll see. We'll watch a few of those, and then I'll speed up the rest of the basing process. So again, like I said, this wasn't difficult at all, really. Just like I said, going by the shading that he had in this is what helped me a lot. So yeah, here I am coming in with the light blue, and here I am like, oh goodness, that's a lot of water. The page didn't buckle too much, but I noticed with this watercolor brush, I had a lot more control over the amount of water than I would in a water brush. So, I still love my water brushes, but in this case, because of the small detail areas, I didn't need a lot of extra water pooling on the page. It sounds like pulling because I'm from Tennessee, but you get what I'm saying. And like I said, most of this stuff I'm focusing on things that are kind of mid. Like if you're stacking all the stuff on top of each other, it's either further in the background or more to the mid level. The real foreground stuff or any areas that don't have any type of shading, I saved for the lightest colors. So, and then I just slowly worked my way through with each layer just to make sure, like I said, there was a pretty good distribution of each shade of blue. And these, like I said, these did very well on here. I, like I said, you'll see in a minute they did well with the pencils, and I got a little thick with some of the layers on the lightest color, but overall it did not impact using pencil on top of it. So, all right, so I'm going to speed up the rest of basing this to some music, and then we will be back when I'm getting ready to do the shading. actually, I take it back. The next bit is the background. So I have my beloved Dylusions Shimmer paint. This is the black marble. I found in using the different paint, the black marble and the postbox red don't shimmer as much as they just have a little bit of shine to them compared to like a flat acrylic paint. So in this case, because I didn't have a ton of shine to the fox, I started to say wolf, I didn't want a full flat black background, but I wanted something with a little shine to it. The Arteza Iridescent in black gives you some good shine too, but if I recall correctly, that one is a little bit shinier than the shimmer paint. The fancy black in their Arteza acrylic colors. It says premium. This is in their iridescent paint set. That one gives you a lot of shine too, but I feel like this one's maybe kind of between that and a flat black paint. So I want something with a little shine, but not a ton. So I don't know if shimmer is the right word for it, but it certainly gives it a different texture. So basically, it's just going to be a shine back, the shimmer paint background, and you'll see me come in with a smaller brush to get the details around the fox. We are also going to speed this up because, I mean, you see how I'm laying this down. The one thing I really do love about the shimmer paint, though, the Dylusions, is that one layer is all you need. Like, it is not thin in any way, shape, or form. And because I'm always looking for shortcuts when I color, the fewer layers I have to do for anything, the better. And this shimmer paint is great at just giving you one layer that you have to use for the most part. So I will be back in a second and we'll start with pencils. Alright, the background is nice and dry. So I'm using from the Arteza set, I'm using, I had the wrong pencil, I just realized that. Peacock blue and Mykonos blue, funny enough. I was just talking about Mykonos blue, and that really matches up to the Pthalo, I have no idea how to say that, blue in this watercolor set. And the Peacock blue was really good as a mid-range color. Yeah, there we go. But obviously I could lighten up my pressure on that to give me the real light blue as well. So I really wanted to use my Coloursoft, Derwent Coloursofts. Those were ones I wanted to demo this month. But, you know, this is the beauty of having multiple sets, is that some pencil sets have, oh, now I have a cat hacking. He's got the coughs. You okay, buddy? Oh, he probably could use a inhaler treatment. Just allergies. He's doing well. It's just every now and then, like anybody else, he has little days where allergies are real PITA. But you know, different color pencil sets really have strong pros and cons when it comes to the different types of color that they offer. And when I was looking at my Coloursofts, their blues were more like ultramarine true blues. I didn't have as many options of this more slightly, like I said, just I think a slight bit of green has been introduced into it, in a slight, more of a lighter color. I didn't really have this in the Coloursoft, but I knew I had it in the Arteza ones because, again, that Mykonos blue, I knew exactly that would match up. So these are the Arteza, whatever they call them, expert level pencils, the 120 set. The set I have that I purchased a few years ago, I know a lot of people have had issues with them being water soluble. My set is not. Whenever I purchased it, apparently the manufacturing of them, I guess, was a little different, and it wasn't the bad batch that came through last year, I think, or the year before. But I do love them. my Arteza stuff really is when my Arteza regular pencils and watercolor pencils are there when I really want those bright pops of color. And with the watercolor pencils in particular, you can get that just with using the watercolor pencils. And even I've had success using them for pastel colors when I was limited in the pastel pencils that I had, which I don't have a ton. I just have the Castle Arts right now. So I do use the watercolor pencils for pastel colors as well, and that works out really well for me. Anyway, these did great. You can see me going ahead and shading a little bit with the Mykonos blue. I do the darkest and some of the medium with it and just go over the watercolor layer. And then I come in with the Peacock blue for a little heavy pressure for that mid-tone and then a lighter pressure on it for the lightest colors. If you saw towards the end of the watercolor bit, I did take just a very slight wash of blue on the fur just because I didn't like that it was just flat out white, but I obviously didn't want to put too much color on it, and I'm real pleased with the compromise I seem to find. So, all right, we're gonna speed this part up to some music too because we are already running over half an hour here. So let me go ahead and do this. All right, here I actually grabbed from the Coloursoft pencils that I have. I think I show them here in a minute. I brushed off where I used the pencil shading, and you can see just the difference it makes. I mean, the watercolor layer was nice as it was, but bringing in that pencil shading over the top just, I think really adds an element to it. And this is the type of pencil coloring that I think I love the most, is getting that initial base, whether it's a marker or watercolor pencil or something, and then going over it with a pencil. It's a lot less use of my pencils. It makes them last longer. It's a lot less wear and tear on on me because my hands and wrists really, even with the softest pencils, um, can get irritated easily through using pencils for long periods of time. Um, I get impatient easily with pencils. I end up getting really sloppy with them. I just don't have a lot of patience. If I'm working on a sole pencil picture or something, I have to go very slow with it in short little bits. Otherwise, I lose patience and it just doesn't look as good as I know I can make it. So there's numerous reasons why you don't see me using a lot of pencil on here, but the beauty of the mixed media that I've been using more and more of lately is I've had more of a desire to get my pencils out and finding ways to use them in where they shine, but they don't wreck my arm. I have chronic tendonitis issues, chronic wrist issues, chronic back issues. And anytime I use pencils for a very long, extended period of time, no matter how soft they are, it can really cause it to flare up. But any opportunity I have to use the pencils, because I do like pencils, I just don't generally have patience for them in the conventional way of using them, unless I just do, like I said, just a little piece every day. And which isn't something I've thought about doing lately, but this method of using them over a base of some other type of color is really, really appealing to me. Now this gray doesn't do a lot. I'm just emphasizing the areas that are sketched in, again shaded in by Kirby Verzanis, just to give it a little bit of definition, so it's not just a uncolored white blotch. You'll see me come in with, I use the Dove Gray and Black, and the Coloursoft come in with a black pencil around the eyes, the nose, any of the really dark shaded shadow areas on the fox. So we're gonna, actually I'm gonna just jump to the next part because we are running long. And the next part is, I think, one of the coolest parts of the video. Oh, I also come in and use the sea green and Coloursoft to help shade the eyes a bit. The eyes, by the way, I used, I think it's, no, it's not the one I was about to say. Blue Topaz. It's an iridescent, and that plus the sea green. All right, pencils are done. He's looking great. Here comes the interesting part. So I saw on someone's channel, I wish I could remember who it was, a way to create like an aurora borealis look in the background using gelatos or gel sticks or silky crayons. And I'm using Comet and Nebula to start with here. And basically I just cut a paper into these little curvy lines. And I've never tried this before, so this was a seriously learning experience moment for me. I go over the edge of it like that, and then I'll come in with my finger and actually drag down the color onto the page. So this kind of gives you, like I said, that kind of aurora borealis look in the background. I didn't want anything, like I said, this was a little more of an understated picture, so I didn't want anything just too exciting happening in the background. But I was really digging the idea of this. And so the interesting thing is that both of these are iridescent, and you can see that in the picture as I'm using them. So two things to learn here. Promise I didn't mean to flip anybody off here. But two things I learned on this is the iridescent ones are going to be understated, just like it was on the fox. They'll have a little bit of a shine to them, but they're not going to be big bright pops of color like I was kind of expecting. But that grew on me as I played around with this, because you see the iridescent shine. You see it better on this than you did with the Lunar Gelato. But I think it gives a really cool effect. Now I eventually come in here with my finger and kind of smudge the edge so it's not as sharp Now, another thing to keep in mind is this is shiny paint. This isn't like a flat black. So results may vary on like a paint with a shiny finish versus a flat black or flat matte finish when it comes to paint. And I think that was part of it too, is that the shininess of the paper made it look a little different when I put these on. And but at the end, I was happy with it, and I didn't have any issue with that. So um, yeah, I was really nervous about this. I was like, I'm gonna screw this up, and it didn't. I just was very, and I guess that's a good thing. The thing with stuff like this is you can always add more, but it's a lot harder to take extra off. So I would get a result, and that it wouldn't look as bright as it should to me. So I would go back and add a little more. And so I do this with this, which is Nebula, and then Comet. Then I grabbed two others because while these had the pretty iridescent to it, it didn't have as bright of a color as I wanted. So I did grab two more gelatos to mix in with it. They were Kiwi and Snow Cone. And those have more of a light pastel look to them, and they're not iridescent. So um, when I mixed those colors together and then did this, it actually looked like I wanted it to. It wasn't as well. We'll look at the finished picture. So I'm going to speed this last bit up to music, and then we'll look at the final picture and talk about it. So, see you in a minute. So here we are with the final picture. I did add in, basically I just wanted what looked a little bit like snow. But it could be snow, it could be stars, it's however you want to interpret it. But I didn't want to go overboard with them. But like I was just, I don't know. I am super pleased with this picture. It's not as, I guess, bright and vibrant as the fox picture I did last year, but in some ways when I think about that one and some of the things I learned on it and some of the things I screwed up on it, I wish I'd done differently. Like, I feel like this picture, but compared to that picture, kind of shows growth, even though I'm using less color, and if that makes any sense. I hope it does. But I absolutely adore how this turned out. The aurora borealis look in the background actually came out quite understated, but I was really okay with that for this picture. Um, you can see you can see it better in person, obviously, compared to the camera, but when you move the picture, you can really see it, and I just think it's super cool. But this was, like I said, I feel like a good lesson in just using a limited color palette, using white space to my advantage in this picture, doing an understated background, which is usually not my style, and just, I don't know, approaching something a little differently than I have in the past. And so I don't know. I love it. I've already done 2 pictures this year that I just feel super duper proud of, and I'm so happy about that. It would be great if I had like really just 1 picture a month that I feel like really showcases what I have learned. And I feel like this is definitely one of the ones for the year. This and my astronaut cat have been the powerhouses this year. But I'm certainly getting more comfortable with using watercolors and such and gelatos and everything as a base, and I want to continue doing that. So you will be seeing more of that during my demo Tuesdays this month. I'm trying to think. Yeah, probably going to continue to use the CRBRON watercolors. Like I said, maybe next Tuesday will be where I use satin glazing liquid on the 50 jungle miniatures picture, and then we just try using the watercolors and layer on and blend and see how it looks with just watercolors. I think that would be a fun test for them because I've had success with using them as a base. I've had success with using them just as a solid color in a picture, but I haven't really messed with trying to blend them or anything like that yet. So we will continue using those, but like I said, for probably at least one other, you're going to see me using those as a base again this month, I think. So, or the gelatos or something like that. Like I said, I'm having a lot of fun with using all different kinds of stuff, so who knows what you're going to see next. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope this inspires you to maybe try some different stuff in your supply cabinet. It's taken me a while. I've had this stuff for a while, so a lot of this, so it's been really nice to get it out and blow the dust off of it. And yeah, so again, we have 2 color lawns this month. Of course, Foxy February, as you can see. And then the Alphabet Color 2022B, which is any book with the artist, title, theme, or object in the picture beginning with the letter B. And this is, I think, my first official Foxy February picture. So but let me know in the comments if there's something in particular here that caught your eye that you want to see me use in a different way or want to see me use again. Let me know. That would be the most helpful thing, is just what do you want to see me, you guys? What the heck was that? What do you all want to see me demo in the future? And I'd be more than happy to do that. Because like I said, this is me learning how to use this stuff right along with y'all. So I hope you guys have enjoyed. This went a little longer than expected, but no worries. I'll have jumps in the bottom in the description so you can kind of go to the parts you want to see. As always, of course, it's a little late to tell you that now, but Friday, I'll probably just do another flip through Friday. I don't think I'm ready to do my office video yet. And then hopefully, still planning the giveaway this weekend on Saturday. So probably about 5 o'clock p.m. Central that evening. If you want to mark that on the calendars, just cross your fingers that the week goes good and it will happen. So Thanks, guys, for watching, and bye for now.